There's no doubt it has been used to alter elections in other countries. We know specifically that Venezuela exported it for that purpose to Argentina and other Latin American companies to make sure that the corrupt rulers who were willing to pay the highest price for being in office were allowed to rig their elections. This is stunning, heartbreaking, infuriating, and the most unpatriotic acts I can even imagine for people in this country to have participated in any way, shape, or form. And I want the American public to know right now that we will not be intimidated. American patriots are fed up with the corruption from the local level to the highest level of our government, and we are going to take this country back. We are not going to be intimidated. We are not going to back down. We are going to clean this mess up now. President Trump won by a landslide. We are going to prove it, and we are going to reclaim the United States of America for the people who vote for freedom.
Welcome to the Bill Mason Show. Wow, Sidney Powell.
True patriot, man. True patriot.
Yes, yeah. So the news conference was today. Rudy Giuliani, Sidney Powell, is that Jenna Ellis? Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
On there too as well. So they had a great news conference and kind of proved a lot of stuff. I mean, they didn't really prove anything, but they laid out their case.
Yeah, they're blowing it up. I think some of the things that people were in, well, I don't say people, I guess the news media was in denial about was whether there was certifiable evidence. So, because originally, like when you suspect something, you know, you have to present what's called prima facie, which is like on its face. Like, is there a reason to investigate? Is there a reason that we should assume that there's, you know, illegality here? And they proved all of that in step one. And then step two after that is getting the actual hard evidence to convince, you know, a judge that's going to rule in your favor. I think they're at step two now. And the media, like, you know, is still playing dumb as if this stuff doesn't exist. And you look on the internet and it'll say, fact check, no evidence of fraud, fact check, no evidence of fraud. And it's like, this is their game that they're playing.
Yeah, CNN saying it's conspiracy theory. It's this whole work. So the fake news is at it again. So there's a lot going on. So they're saying that there was a truckload of votes coming in at 4:30 at night. Everybody thought it was a food. They rushed to the truck. It wasn't food. It was a bunch of ballots.
Them emergency ballots.
Exactly, the Democratic ballots.
Fresh and hot off the presses.
Well, we have Sidney Powell again. This is actually the beginning of her speech, but take a look.
Here and uncovering more by the day is the massive influence of communist money through Venezuela, Cuba, and likely China in the interference with our elections here in the United States. The Dominion voting systems, the Smartmatic technology software, and the software that goes in other computerized voting systems here as well, not just Dominion, were created in Venezuela at the direction of Hugo Chavez to make sure he never lost an election after one constitutional referendum came out the way he did not want it to come out. We have one very strong witness who has explained how it all works. His affidavit is attached to the pleadings of Lynn Wood in the lawsuit he filed in Georgia. It is a stunning, detailed affidavit because he was with Hugo Chavez while he was being briefed on how it worked. He was with Hugo Chavez when he saw it operate to make sure the election came out his way. That was the express purpose for creating this software. He has seen it operate, and as soon as he saw the multiple states shut down the voting on the night of the election, he knew the same thing was happening here, that was what had gone on.
All right, there you go.
Absolutely. And we talked about some of these things a few shows ago that, you know, this is not about a small scale couple of state, somebody voted in multiple states and, they should get slapped on the wrist. This is about the installation of software that was designed to overthrow governments and people like Hugo Chavez. And, this is deeper than just a few people cheating or misusing ballots. This is way bigger than anyone ever expected.
Right. So, I mean, what happened probably is that, how it works is that they go and bid for the, for the process of having these machines in the state. Mm-hmm. And they're probably the lowest, because the reason why they're lowest is because somebody's funneling money to them to make them the lowest, so they'll win the bid.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that there are states that have rejected them, because we were talking about a pre-show that, a state like Texas will look through and do their little test and go, nah, this thing's loaded with backdoor software and hardware problems. We don't want this in our state. And other states will welcome it with open arms. Mm-hmm. I mean, so much so that, I heard that in Michigan, one of the vice presidents of the company actually went to supervise the voting in Michigan to make sure that the glitches went in the right direction.
Exactly. The glitch to the Biden area.
Yeah, to the Biden region.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, we talk about them switching votes. There were 6,000 votes switched from Trump to Biden as they fed the machine. They're talking about millions.
Yeah, when they find the algorithm or however you want to talk about it, I think it's deep in the programming, so much so that the whole raid in Germany to get that server. Now there's also speculation of whether it fell into the right hands. Is it in, the hands that are going to look for evidence, or is it in the hands of people that are going to destroy the evidence? That's left to be seen, So, I mean, honestly, this is like some real deep state stuff going on, stuff you would only think that would be in movies, but that's 2020. It's not over yet.
No. And 2020 is coming around. 2021 is coming around. So who knows what that brings? Now, last show, we did show what that's going to bring, and that's kind of like a horror flick. But hopefully that doesn't happen. Hopefully Trump will get in and stop that. So anyways, take a look at Georgia. Now, Georgia is so unorganized. We have video here of what's going on. Let's take a look, okay?
Yeah.
Printed out. Do we have a explanation of why those votes?
So there's no concrete, just to get it on the record, there's no concrete explanation as to how those 2,700 votes were not counted by the machine in the first place?
We don't know. I mean, we can't, they're not in there anywhere. So we don't know why they didn't get scanned in there.
So have the Dominion tech guys that have been troubleshooting here all day been able to figure out why they weren't in there?
Them, but I don't know if I can speak for them. They're not allowed to comment.
They're not allowed to comment.
And you're not allowed to tell you.
That's all right.
It's just...
But as of right now, you can also not confirm that it was a memory card or anything of that nature as well, right? Because that hasn't been confirmed, to my knowledge, by anyone here.
I don't think it was a memory card. I can almost... Do you?
I don't think it was a memory card.
So it was. We can rule out memory
card.
cards.
Rule out a memory card that wasn't scanned.
Yeah, okay. It seems like it's human error.
We're not prepared to answer
Seems
that.
like it, but what's the evidence that would indicate it would be a human error issue?
The ballots didn't transfer over like they should have, and that could have been dealing with how whatever programmer programmed them. But at this point, we really don't know, so that's why you're
Could it also potentially be a software issue?
We're not going to speculate at this point.
But you just said it could potentially be a human error. That was speculation.
Correct. So that's why you're
so
asking
then it
all
could,
these types of different questions.
I'm
we
just
really
trying
can't
to
give you any, I know what you're trying to do, and we really don't have it pinpointed right now. Like
that's fine.
we want to be able to give you the exact answer on what happened.
Absolutely.
I'm not able to do that right
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Thank you for that.
Oh,
There we go. Jeez.
unreal. Everybody wants to be in charge until you have to answer some questions. And then it's like, you see those guys are like, oh, do you answer that question or me? Or maybe this guy answers that question. I don't know.
Yeah. So 2,600 votes they just found out of thin air.
Yeah, it happens, right?
Yeah, all the time.
They had one job. Like, their job is to count votes.
Mm-hmm.
So in the simplest form, you would think that there's a chain you unbox the votes, you put them in a machine, and maybe put them back in a box for an audit later. End of story, done. Someone should have been in charge of making sure that they all got counted. I can only imagine.
Yeah, that bubble stuff never works.
It seems simple to me, but maybe it's just because I just don't understand the voting machines. I mean,
you just can't count them. I mean,
I can't
what about the good old
imagine.
days where they actually count them by hand?
Yeah. And I mean, it was, I can remember when I was younger, and even before I was old enough to vote, people would stay up all night to count the votes nonstop. There was no, oh wait, we're gonna pump the brakes at midnight and we're gonna wait and then everybody gets some rest and we'll come back here first thing in the morning and count some votes. Nobody did that because nobody would trust that. It's kind of like there's this chain of custody, like, okay, all the votes are here in the building, let's count them and then we'll all go to bed when we're done.
Yeah, just leave it at the table.
Yeah, this is nuts that they pulled all these moves. And I mean, you know, I heard something else about Georgia is that once again, yes, they are doing a count by hand, but they're still not going to. They have ones that don't have any signature on them. They have ones that have no verification, and they're just going, "Yep, that's a Biden vote," and it just gets counted. So there's no certification going through. They're just recounting ballots. Kind of like I don't know, like they're going through motions.
And as they said, a lot of them, there was like a stack of them that had a perfect bubble.
Yeah.
No one can do a perfect bubble, of course.
No.
It's always kind of weird, or
like when you're
kind of filled
scribbling.
in. Yeah. I mean, these are perfect bubbles that had dark. It was like printed on.
That's what they said. They said it looked like a printer printed these out.
Right.
And that, you know, a lot of them were just Biden votes. You know, nobody voted down ballot on some of these, which is like, it's kind of weird because if everybody thought Joe Biden becoming president was that important, you would think that they would want to steal some House seats too. You know what I mean? You would think that that would be just as important. So I think there was such an emergency, you know, let's get these Biden votes in here, that they just were literally running them off with just Joe Biden on there. I mean,
everybody votes for Mosquito Guy as well. Mosquito
Guy, man. I mean, you know, he's just as important in your community. So you really got to pick the right one.
Exactly. So let's take a look at Georgia again. It's total chaos there. Let's take a look.
My storage unit's more organized than this place.
Look at this. All these boxes.
So he opens it and puts it on the floor. And then instead of finishing that stack, he's like, oh, let me, no.
I'm going to go somewhere else.
So originally, you had said that was the end of it. So what changed?
The count. I mean,
Just looking for some Biden votes.
Yeah. Which one? Let's see. Did we mark the Biden votes?
So you're missing batches?
No. I got to get the box.
Oh, okay.
They're in 1, 2, 3. They just didn't turn. See how that one's turning and tells me where it is. So we didn't pack our stuff up. Like I'm sure.
Yeah. Okay, so I thought when you guys had finished completing that box in the other room, you said that was the last of the ballots.
I thought so too.
You thought so too? And then is it the numbers they're getting to suggest that you're missing some, or?
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's not lining up, but we also know that they're here. I mean,
Is it like a precinct missing, or like what?
No.
Oh, let's see. Is this the Biden
10
vote?
batches. We know they're 26, and then when we broke the admin down and did the RLA, we put them into 26 batches.
Yeah.
They should have put a B on one
I
of those
think they're only
boxes.
11 through
Yeah.
26.
Or a D
11
for
through 20.
Democrat.
Okay,
I
so
mean,
you're
you know,
missing
maybe it
11
would have helped them.
Yeah, I gotta find my pen.
Seems like such disarray.
Trying to figure out what's going on.
This girl's good though, man. She's a little pit bull, whoever she is.
She is. You should hire her. He's still looking for Biden votes.
Yes.
Yeah, he's looking for the label. He's making sure all the labels are not facing the camera.
Let's get his key out to open some of these boxes, see what's going on. No, No.
It's just weird that he's not actually doing anything.
Yeah.
He's just shuffling
Yeah.
boxes around.
Yeah, those are Trump votes.
Yeah. We don't need those. Very strange. To me, everything about it, the fact that they're in that little tiny office,
Mm-hmm.
trying to do giant walls of boxes. I mean,
Is that 1 million? Is that like 3 million votes in like one room or something? What's going
seriously, like, and what I don't get, I see a lot of government, run things. They use uniformity.
Hmm.
All those boxes are different sizes, and it just screams weirdness to me. And I mean, I don't know what's in those plain brown boxes, but I would definitely think it would be more organized, and that guy wouldn't have to just shuffle the boxes around while he's talking,
Right.
appearing to look busy as he does nothing.
Right. I don't know if he ever found the box.
I don't think so. I mean, it's to be continued. That's why I think that's why these recounts take so long, because you imagine having 25, 30 of those guys working for you.
Yeah, you just shuffle box around.
Awful.
All right. Well, let's take a look at the Wisconsin dump here. Take a look at this.
Major.
Yeah. So look at this. It goes going on smoothly, and like it should be. Biden, Trump votes, and all of a sudden, look at this. 143,000 dump for Biden.
Yeah, amazing. And between 3 and 4 a.m. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. So I don't know how that would happen. That is kind of not possible.
Yeah. And to scream, and when you look closely, you see the red and the blue, and it's like that's all blue from 50K to over 150 or 100 and something K. So, I mean, that's crazy, man. That just does not add up on anybody's radar. I mean, when you research Wisconsin, too, I looked into this. There's basically 2 counties where the population lives, and they had over 99% participation, I think, in Milwaukee County. It's never went over 55 to 60, and as far as voter participation. So, this is just something, it just screams, look into me. And it sucks that, they're still fighting Wisconsin, but this is kind of like, in the NFL or whatever, you have to make that call before the next snap. Right. You know what I mean? Like if you're trying to, throw a flag and get a review, if that other team comes out and gets the snap, that play's over. We're on to the next play. And that's what I think this is being done. Right. Whereas they're trying to keep it moving so fast that you can't say, wait, hold up, we need to look into that. And they're like, no, we're going to just move these aside, certify these votes. I mean, what happened in Michigan today, I mean, it was shocking that those Republican guys apparently got death threats, and they said they were going to, kill their families. And all of a sudden they were like, okay, you guys can certify those votes. Right. I was shocked, man. They backed right down. But I guess, I've never gotten death threats like that before.
I heard they reversed again. Did they reverse again?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, they reversed again. They wouldn't have certified. Then they got death threats. Then they certified. Then they came back. So no, we're not going to certify. We notify the police.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, I would think that would be the natural chain of events where you would say, hey, look, I need police protection at my house. I just had some guy say he's, going to shoot my daughter or whatever they said to him, which scared him, rightfully so. But I mean, funny on that note, Sidney Powell has gotten death threats since she was General Flynn's lawyer. Right. And she goes, you know what I think death threats are? I'm on the right path and I'm making people nervous. That's what I love about her, man. She is just this dyed in the wool armor of God, just truth seeking machine. And she really has no fear. Probably the best person I think he could have had on his team. Not that I don't have faith in Rudy. Rudy's great too. It's just that Sydney is just the tip of the spear, man. It just seems like every aspect, all the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed with her. And I think that's the only way to go forward with this, is to make sure everything's done right. Because one little complication and all of a sudden, like, they'll throw some of these lawsuits out based on a technicality. Right. And then, oh, sorry, you missed the deadline, and boom, we certified. So this is, like I said, a race to get this in before the next snap is called, and then boom, sorry, you couldn't get that in. Yeah, we're certifying.
Yeah. Well, Wisconsin, of course, they're recounting. Of course,
Yep.
they had an emergency meeting last night to try to change the way they're going to count because they knew something was going to happen. So on
Absolutely.
the Trump side. So anyway, so they had to do that. I don't know. I don't really know what happened. The income of that end
Yeah, I don't
result.
either.
But anyway, Trump had to pay $3 million for the recount.
Yeah. And he's on his he sent me a text today on, I'm on the Trump app or whatever, and he's looking for contributions because apparently at 3 million a pop, this is going to get expensive. We're running through these recounts, but
Right.
we talked pre-show about this. Like, this is not just about Donald Trump. At first I thought it was him getting shooken down, but Jill Stein back in 2016, she wanted a recount and they made her pay too. So this is just something that they do. You don't get free recounts except in Georgia. I think if it's close, you get a recount or a runoff.
That's correct. Yeah, you get a recount or runoff. So
Yep.
now we have a little video of about Dominion. So let's take a look at that. It's going to outline what's going on. Take a look.
It's an eye opener, man. It really is.
There it is.
What if the trust you had in your republic was shattered overnight? What if the dramatic stories and scenes you watch in the comfort of your home started playing out in real life, right before your eyes? Is that what's happening? Are we living through an episode of Scandal or House of Cards? Literally overnight, Americans lost faith in the security of their elections. Middle of the night ballot dumps, glitches, and secret vote counting certainly raised suspicion. Then, things only got worse. Enter Dominion voting software. 6,000 votes. Yes, that's right, 6,000 votes switched from President Trump to former Vice President Joe Biden, in the vital swing state of Michigan, no less. Many in the media rushed to chalk this up to human error, which begs the question, why on earth are we using software that is so easily corrupted by humans? Surely, we should be able to have enough trust in our elections to believe that the folks running them are competent enough to not make a mess of things. Sadly, that doesn't seem to be the case. Don't believe me? Just look at what happened right here in my home state of Arizona. The Republican chair of the Maricopa County Republican Party, the largest county in the country, was forced to resign from her position for failing to attend a pre-election test of the county's ballot tabulation machines. And who owns those machines? You guessed it, Dominion. This isn't the first time questions have been raised about Dominion voting software. Last year, the Texas Secretary of State rejected Dominion, citing multiple hardware and software issues. And guess which state hasn't had any voting irregularities? Dominion software almost cost this man his job. Meet Michigan resident Adam Kokendorfer. Adam went to bed thinking he had lost his bid for re-election as Oakland County Commissioner, only to wake up to find out that a Dominion glitch gave his hard-fought win to his opponent. Luckily for Adam, this mistake was caught. All roads lead to Dominion, it seems. The Canadian company is one of 3 voting softwares primarily used in American elections. Oddly enough, almost every single state, down to the county that's being challenged, implements Dominion. It's reported that in 2016, Dominion voting system reached approximately 71 million voters in 1,635 jurisdictions in the U.S. According to experts, if one site has a flaw, other sites are likely to have it as well. That is terrifying. And it only gets scarier when you dig deeper. According to Sidney Powell, a member of President Trump's legal team, Dominion software allows vote counters to switch votes. She even alleges that some leaders knowingly brought faulty software into their states and into jurisdictions, and claims there's evidence of kickbacks for officials who signed contracts with Dominion.
Substantial sums of money being given to family members of state officials who bought this software.
Mrs. Powell also alleges that Nancy Pelosi's former chief of staff became a lobbyist for Dominion, and that Dianne Feinstein's husband is a significant shareholder in the company. Oh, and a member of Joe Biden's transition team allegedly sits on the board of Smartmatic, a subsidiary of Dominion. If Dominion is so easily corrupted by outside forces, can you blame Americans for their concern at who might be pulling the strings? Something smells fishy. This is the United States of America, for crying out loud. We are not a banana republic. This isn't some far-fetched conspiracy theory. In 2016, an explosive investigation spearheaded by Princeton University professor Andrew Appel exposed just how easily this software can be corrupted. In his report, Appel outlines how a simple $4 computer chip can hack a machine to switch votes. 4 years ago, someone raised concerns, and yet here we are. Americans have lost faith in their ability to decide who represents them. This absolutely deserves an investigation. If we can spend years investigating fake Russia collusion claims, surely we can take a deeper look into all of these irregularities tied to Dominion. After all, if they have nothing to hide, they should have nothing to worry about, right? Or does that only apply to fake dossiers used to spy on President Trump's campaign? Americans should have confidence in the election process, and our officials that are elected must provide it. No amount of fraud is acceptable. We need a full, transparent, and independent election audit to make sure all legal votes are counted. 71 million Americans don't just deserve answers, we demand them.
There we go. Wow, she spelled it all out. That was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, is that common knowledge to people that like maybe don't watch our show or don't watch, some of the other outlets? No, because I am literally watching people on other social media outlets say, oh, this is just such a conspiracy theory. How can they even think that this would happen? Who would do that? This is crazy talk. And I mean, this is crazy talk because you have to really want to, deceive the American populace and put all these things in place years in advance. Right. So this plan, I mean, it is multi-directional. There are so many levels to this whole anti-Trump thing. It's mind-boggling. And if you wrap your head around how all these media outlets, they just collude together and they literally just repeat the same thing, like nothing to see here, nothing to see here, nothing to see here. Or, these recounts are like, oh, these are the worst things to ever, how dare Trump? I mean, they're just talking heads, put misinformation out there. And it's like, you have to dig for actual factual stuff. And then you look like the crazy person when you get in an argument with a liberal or something and they go, oh, but where are your facts? And you're like, I just spent 3 hours researching this stuff. Like, I can't give you a one-click solution, and they think you're crazy. Meanwhile, they watch CNN and they're like, oh, everything's fine,
right.
And here we are.
Theory.
Yeah, here we are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, a lot of people don't know that the news is like local news. They just say the same thing over and over again throughout the country. So it's like, if you hear something on your local news and you tune in, if you're in Arizona or if you're in California or if you're in Florida, you'll hear the exact Philadelphia. You hear the exact same thing.
Verbatim, word for word. It's like a scripted report. And they have to make sure that they get it out for the 5:30 people, for the 6:30 a.m. people, get it for the 8 a.m. people, and then repeat it on the 11 o'clock news because that's what they do.
Well, just let you know how I figured it all out. About, I don't know, this has been going on for a while though. About 15, 20 years ago, whatever it was, I switched to the Sunday news channels and I was watching the news and I switched to one that was, one of those Sunday news channels, and they said one thing, then I switched to another one. They said the exact same thing. So every Sunday I kept on watching these same news channels, and the Democratic Party, they would send these people out, they still do, and the Republicans, they send these people out, they have these talking points, and they say the exact same thing, no matter who is on the show, they say the exact thing every time. So
word for word.
Word for word. So let's take a look at the news channels here and see what they're saying. Here, take a look.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Fox San Antonio's Jessica Headley.
And I'm Ryan Wolf.
Our greatest responsibility is to serve our Treasure Valley communities,
the El Paso, Las Cruces communities,
Eastern Iowa communities,
Mid-Michigan communities.
We are extremely proud of the quality, balanced journalism that CBS 4 News produces.
But
we are concerned about the trouble and trend of irresponsible, one-sided news stories plaguing our country.
The sharing of biased and false news has become all too common on social media. More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
The sharing of biased and false
news has become all too common on social media.
More alarming, some media outlets publish these same fake stories without checking facts first.
Unfortunately, some members of the media use their platforms to push their own personal bias and agenda to control exactly what people think. And this is extremely dangerous to our democracy.
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 The same thing. There is no reporting going on anywhere.
Nope. And there's no individuality out there with these people either. No. They just read off those cards, man.
Right. Well, it's the same thing, CNN, same all this stuff, but they just repeat the same thing. So you go to the newspaper, I don't know if no one gets newspapers anymore, but before when you had newspapers, they didn't have journalism there either. There were just AP stories that they just put on. If you go to another city, the same AP stories.
Yeah, and or you would have like a headline, like this was big in the New York area. You would have a headline, huge headline, like a grabber that you'd be like, I don't believe that to be true. And then when you turn the page and read it, it's like, oh, because it's not true. Right. It was just, fake news on a different scale. Right. So they had to get you to buy the paper back then. It was 25, 35 cents, not a big deal, but they had to shock you into picking that paper up and buying it. Right. And then, half the time you read the article and go, I knew that anyway. Mm-hmm. But now, with the media being so different and so fast traveling and vast, they don't even have time. They just have to browbeat this message into every citizen as often as they can. And as you can see, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. So, folks, take, most of the people who listen to us know this stuff, but take a look and see what's going on, and you'll see the same thing we're mentioning here. So today, Como House, New York.
Yeah.
Trump supporters. Let's take a look. Will you sing along with me, Bill?
I am just not good at singing, so right. I'm gonna let them sing.
All right, let's take a look.
We will rock you. We will rock you.
I'm sure you love that.
Rock you.
Looks like they're having fun outside.
Yeah, it's peaceful protest. Exactly. We know how to do it.
Exactly. At least we don't burn things down.
Yeah, nobody's getting hurt. Nothing's getting burned.
All right, well, that's the show tonight. Bill, do you have any last words?
I still am one of the ones that believe that this is not over yet. That we have until Safe Harbor Day, December 8th, That's when the electors get chosen, and that's when they start to move the process along and declare a victor. So this is a race for the Trump lawyers. It's a race for Sidney Powell and Giuliani and everyone else involved to provide the evidence. And if these courts drag their feet, to get it appealed and get it to the Supreme Court as quick as possible, because I think that is our ace up the sleeve, because Trump's no dummy and made sure that seat was filled.
Right, definitely. I agree. So we'll see what happens. Thanks for watching us. Thanks for all the new subscribers, and we'll see you next time.
Yep. Like and share. Get a friend.
Yes, please.
Thanks.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.